Hi, it's Dr. Gold again for our third video in our tour of the Yahoo Finance website. We left off reviewing some of the data in this table here, including what a dividend is, how to calculate dividend yield, what the earnings per share represents here in terms of the price earnings ratio, what the market capitalization is and how to calculate that. And then again, what the stock price represents here on the top. If you didn't watch video 2 and want to review what those terms mean, including beta over here, please watch video number 2. Before we get to the charting portion of this website, I want to just show you one other feature in here, really a couple of other features. There's so many, but these are ones that I think you'll find to be useful. On the left-hand side, you'll see a bunch of different categories listed here along the left-hand side of the screen. One of them that's kind of interesting is if you go to competitors. So I'm going to click on that right now, and what this screen does is it allows you to take a look at some of Starbucks competitors. If you don't know what the ticker symbols represent here at the top, I think you can guess what that is, but if not, you can look at the bottom and it defines those ticker symbols for you here. So you've got Dunkin' Donuts, McDonald's, and Nestle are considered to be competitors to Starbucks. You'll recall that in the second video we spoke about the market capitalization, and when we just looked at that number on the Starbucks stock price table, $59 billion, it just sounds like a lot of money, but it's hard for us to really measure how large or small the company is. But when we compare the market capitalization of Starbucks with the market capitalization of Dunkin' Donuts, well, there it becomes a little more interesting because we can see that Starbucks is a significantly larger corporation than Dunkin' Donuts. McDonald's is a larger corporation than Starbucks, although they're similar in scale. And then you've got Nestle, which is way larger than both McDonald's and Starbucks, and of course Dunkin' Donuts. Another thing we spoke about is that typically companies that are more mature are growing at slower rates. And one way for us to measure this is to look at the quarterly revenue growth. This is a measurement of how fast or slow a company's sales are increasing every 3 months. So in the case of Starbucks, their sales are increasing by 10%. Dunkin' Donuts sales are increasing by 3%, so they're growing at a slower rate than Starbucks is. And Nestle is growing at a negative 5%, as is McDonald's. So that means that their sales are actually decreasing every 3 months. So these companies are probably really starting to struggle a little bit financially, but that's not unusual for mature companies until they come out with some new sort of marketing campaign to turn that around. You'll also notice that the earnings per share, when you compare them across here, are somewhat similar. And you'll also notice something we talked about, which is the price earnings multiple is here for Starbucks at 29, but also for Dunkin' Donuts is at 29. What's interesting about that is Starbucks is growing its sales at a faster pace than Dunkin' Donuts is. So to me, this would indicate that Dunkin' Donuts is perhaps a bit overpriced because it shouldn't have the same price earnings ratio as Starbucks because it's growing at a slower rate than is Starbucks. So anyways, that's one screen I just wanted to introduce to you to allow you to compare and contrast different financial information. And let's get back to the screen for the charting feature of this website. So over here is the chart, and I'm just going to click on the 5-year chart of McDonald's. And this shows you how the stock has done over the past 5 years. You can see that the stock has gone up a lot, and if you want to know sort of like what the price is at different points along the chart, you just point the mouse arrow to it. Like you can see at this point, if you look up on the top left, you'll see that the stock was in the 40s. Way down here during the financial crisis or the tail end of it, Starbucks stock was at $20, $21. And the stock has gone up and up and up all the way to a high of $83 a share. So here's the stock trading currently over the past year or so. It's gone up a lot, obviously, as the economy's improved a bit and Starbucks has continued to grow. What you can do with this chart is you can say, well, gosh, I would like to see how Starbucks has done relative to the stock market. So how do you do that? Well, you click on the comparison button here, and it lets you either type in the name of a company, like for example, if we type in Dunkin' Donuts, there's Dunkin' Brands. If we want to see how Starbucks has done relative to Dunkin' Donuts, you can see Dunkin' Donuts is in the red, Starbucks is in the blue, and Starbucks has clearly been outperforming Dunkin' Donuts. It's been doing much, much better than its counterpart, which kind of makes sense. If you go back and you want to compare it to, say, the S&P 500, here you can see something that's sort of interesting. You can see that Starbucks has outperformed both. Let me just close that. Starbucks has outperformed, this is Starbucks up here in the blue, they've outperformed both the red line down here, which is Dunkin' Donuts, and the S&P 500 by a significant amount. That's a very useful thing because that's one of the measurements you're going to use for your stock market challenge. You're going to say, is my portfolio overall doing as well or as poorly as the S&P 500? So over the time period here that's shown on this screen, a Starbucks stock price has increased by 235% as compared to Dunkin' Donuts, which has gone up 57%, and the stock market, which is up 76%. So that's a really interesting way of analyzing and comparing different companies within the same industry against the market overall. And I just wanted to show you that on this video. Excuse me. If you want to reset it, you just click reset, and it brings you back to just Starbucks. You could compare Starbucks with a company outside of its industry, say, I don't know, Twitter, but that really wouldn't make a whole lot of sense because, first of all, Twitter's a relatively new company that's only been trading publicly for a while. That's Twitter in the red. Plus, they're in two totally different industries, and it just wouldn't make sense to make a comparison like that. So that's it for this video. Again, I wanted to just show you how to get here. If you start out on the Yahoo Finance page and you type into the quote symbol lookup section the name of any company, I'm just sticking with Starbucks because that's what we've been using. It'll automatically find the Starbucks page. It'll bring you to this page with all of this financial information plus all this information off to the left. And then the chart on the right-hand side. So in my case, I just clicked the 5-year chart to get a decent perspective of what the stock looked like. And then you can use the comparison button up here to compare and contrast the stock with its peers and with the market overall. So that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed that one. And we'll start up a new series of videos that will talk about other websites and resources that are available.